also found crypto a number of cycles ago enough to appreciate the crazy volatility. But then that also led me to realize the full world and full gamut that it offers. And that led me to smart contracts and smart contract development. And I always say I was the Trojan horse on traditional finance, looking at the markets and looking at crypto and saying, and going around to banking and saying, hey, yo, check out this white paper, check out this, or you should be buying this. And banking was one of the few people who actually listened to me. A couple of us on the desk did, but most did not. But they're slowly coming around and to the full power that blockchain provides. So some of you may be asking, what is a blockchain? And really, why should I care? So a blockchain is a distributed, decentralized public ledger. Some of you may have heard of Bitcoin or Ethereum, or maybe some of the others like Polygon or Avalanche or something like that. Bitcoin has was the OG, right? The original. A lot of people look at it as digital money, right? The store of value. And when you talk about what is distributed but public blockchain, the nice thing about Bitcoin is you can see all transactions back to the start of time, to the genesis. And that's important when you're talking about money, right? How do you know if, say, a bank has your assets, right? A Bitcoin, you always know you have a Bitcoin. You always know where that Bitcoin's history has been. And that's important for a number of applications. When you talk about Ethereum or some of the other chains, they introduce this concept of easily programmable smart contracts. What is a smart contract? Well, as you'd imagine, it's a contract or a program you can run in the blockchain that's verifiable. That has all sorts of great use cases. There's also things called, let's say, NFTs, a non-fungible token. That's a little bit different from a Bitcoin. A Bitcoin is what people refer to as a fungible token, i.e., if I have one Bitcoin and I have another Bitcoin, they're pretty much indistinguishable. They have maybe different histories, but one Bitcoin's one Bitcoin. With an NFT, each NFT or non-fungible token is unique. That is a type of contract. A lot of them refer to that as let's say ERC-721 token, but there are some others. And what that is a unique asset or token. And a lot of people use that right now. You'll see the monkey pictures, right? The 10,000 profile pictures of Bored Ape Yacht Club. Bored Ape Yacht Club's worth quite a bit of money right now. But why? You could say why. Well, there's a proof of provenance with these. So a lot of right now it's been used for these profile pictures and artworks, and they're not just JPEGs. When we say JPEGs, what is it? It's artwork. But you can prove that this piece of art that I have is mine, and I can show the full history of that over time. Now, there's a lot of really interesting implications for that. Now, as I said, right now, you're looking at JPEGs, but in the future, any source of what, let's say, when you need to prove provenance or identity, um, it is a useful use case. So all these utility use cases and teasers coming down the pipeline. I'm not sure if you guys have seen the videos of people, this guy unlocking his Tesla with an NFT. That's pretty cool. Or people, talk about moving real estate transactions onto the blockchain. Well, right now, when you buy a house, at least where I am, you have to fill out a piece of paper and you mail it off to the county clerk. County clerk stamps it, mails it back to you after a couple of weeks. And you're like, how? This is 2023. This is how things are still done. Well, that's a prime use case of that needs to be disrupted, right, and moved on to the blockchain. Nice thing about the blockchain is you can prove who owns that real estate, how it's moved over time, who paid what, and it's all public to view. If you're looking at, let's say, verifying election results, right, those are the type of things you can. It has a perfect use case for a public ledger like a blockchain. So Becky and I started Verbwire because we saw a significant gap in the market, right? We see all these cool applications, as I mentioned earlier, all these new use cases that could be done with the world of Web3 and blockchains. But right now, the process of building is still really tough. And we approach this ourselves, right? We were builders. We went down the whole rabbit hole. And actually, if you go on our website, I have this here. There's a whole process to deploying let's say deploying a smart contract, and it's here in this video, right? You have to not only just download a wallet and do install MetaMask, install Hardhat, and learn Solidity. Like, this is a multi-month process. It's still very, very hard. And for those of you who have gone down that rabbit hole, I applaud you. But we've talked to some people who have started and kind of bashed their heads against the wall and said, this is really difficult. I don't know what to do here. So we created Verbwire to be the universal API for Web3. You can think of it this way. Rather than you spending months and months and months of going through all these steps to deploy and start, let's say, minting an NFT or updating a smart contract or pulling data, we've condensed that all into a simple API call. You come to us, you come to Verbwire, you operate in the language of your choice. Right now, we support over 20 programming languages. We sit as the abstraction layer, if you will, between yourselves and the blockchain, right? We think of ourselves as the Plaid for Web3. Why do we say that? Plaid came in and took this really complex task that was connecting with all these banks, right? Bank infrastructure is fragmented, it's backwards, it's old. And they came in, they set this layer on top. And then from that, this ecosystem exploded of fintechs. We are the plaid for Web3 because we're sitting between the layer of all the blockchain code, all the smart contract code. Use Verbwire and you deploy your application. You deploy it just once and you get the full benefit of everything we offer. Right now, we have over 50 endpoints, everything from deploying a smart contract, minting an NFT, pulling data, pushing to what's called IPFS, Interplanetary File Service for decentralized storage. And by the way, we support over 14 chains, 7 live chains and 7 testnets. So once you deploy with us, you get the full benefit of that. And we're fully omni-chain compatible, which means when you deploy one of our smart contracts, if it's an omni-chain smart contract, you can move between any of those chains.
So with the Verbwire API, a developer could really just write their application in their language of comfort. It could be C Sharp, C++, Java, Python. We support about 20 languages across all our 14 chains, 7 testnets and 7 mainnets. Just write your application in your language of comfort and implement the Verbwire API and immediately start getting access to Web3 functionality in your application. Leave the hard work to us. Leave the complications of working with blockchains, the intricacies of smart contracts. You just focus on your logic and your application and just leave all that hard stuff to us and use the Verbwire API. Now, there's stats out there to show there's over 30 million Web2 developers, really over 31 million, and there's just about roughly 20,000 Web3 developers. So what this means is as developers move from Web 2 to Web 3, they will need a platform that helps to fast track that transition, something that helps to ease that migration and reduce the friction. And that's exactly the core value proposition of Verbwire. A process that normally would have taken you like 6 to 9 months to get up to speed, to learn, it becomes something you're now doing in minutes to maybe hours with the Verbra API. We will be that platform that helps to migrate the next million developers from Web 2 to Web 3. Thank you. So what I'm going to show you here are a couple of data endpoints. We have almost 30 data endpoints, and with the data endpoints, you could do a lot of things with NFTs. You don't really have to like write your own smart contracts. Maybe you just really want to just do analytics or do some kind of like intelligence or build dashboards. I would use the data endpoints for things like that. So let's take a look at one quick example. I'm just going to show you how to run them on our API page. Let's pick get ownership data first log. And what this endpoint does is it lets you see owners of certain NFTs. You could use this if you're trying to build intelligence around large owners of certain collections. You want to know who owns certain things, or maybe you want to do airdrops and you want to know owners of NFTs. So let's go to our API page. You put in a slug name. A slug really is just the NFT collection name. So I'm just going to use Bored Yacht Club here. And as usual, on our API page, you could actually test things interactively and see results in real time. Don't forget, if you go to the top right here where I have clicked, you could have you could see multiple programming languages, and you could just as you change the programming language, you would see sample code in that language. So I'm just going to pick Node, which is the default language here. And I'm just going to click on try it. Bam. You could see immediately, you could see ownership data for this collection, which is Body Yacht Club. You see the first returned example here has 280 NFTs. The next one has 107, and it's super fast. Let's do another quick example, another data endpoint. Let's look for, let's just get floor prices for an NFT. The endpoint is called get last floor price for slug. I'm just going to use a different collection. Let's use Azuki. That's a different NFT collection. Um, you select your chain. I'm just clicking on Ethereum because that's the one chain we support for this endpoint. And click and try it again. And bam. instantaneously you could see your response. It just shows you the floor price for this collection. It's a pretty powerful endpoint. So take your time and go through the data endpoints, different endpoints. You could look at all NFTs created by certain contract, transactions by wallet address. There's about 30 of them. And again, uh, we have multiple data endpoints. If you're the kind of person that you just want to do dashboards or analytics, or you want to run intelligence, use the data endpoints. Or you just maybe you just want to know owners of certain NFTs, like large owners, like whales. You use this endpoint. You want to do some airdrops. You want to drop certain NFTs or certain things to the wallets of certain large holders. You use this endpoint. So play with the data endpoints and just feel free. Thank you. So what I'm going to show you next is our mint functionality. We have two ways of minting. There's what you call the quick mint functionality, and there is minting from a contract. With the quick mint, you don't really have to own a contract. You just come in and just mint. It's called quick mint for a reason, because it's just the quickest way of minting, obviously. It's super quick, super fast, and I'm just going to walk you through it. You could easily mint any kind of metadata into your NFT using our platform. So say, for example, you're trying to mint um, receipt IDs into an NFT, or loyalty card IDs, or examination IDs of students, or addresses of houses in cities. Any kind of data point could be easily minted into an NFT on the Verbwire platform. And I'm going to show you how to do that using a quick mint functionality, which is the quickest way of minting. So let's look at this endpoint. It's a mint endpoint. This is called Quick Mint Omnichain NFT from image. You could use any of the three quick mint endpoints, but I'm just going to use this one because it lets me input an image. So let's just go to our API page and we're going to test it interactively and we'll see it work in real time. So let's click image. Um, I just picked my image. It's put a test name. Let's just say demo name. Let's pick in description. Let's click demo description. And let's say recipient address is the address of the wallet where you want to mint the NFT to. But it's very important. You don't have to have a wallet to use this platform. If you just left it blank, it mints to the default Verbwire wallet. So in which case, anyone could just come in and just mint, wallet or no wallet. Very important. And we listened to developers, and developers told us that they don't want to be forced to have a wallet address to mint on our platform. So in my case, since I do have a wallet address, which I'm going to pull up now. I'm just going to put my wallet address in there. And um, and this is the data point which I want to mint to this NFT. I could put in anything. I could just put in ABC123. I could put in XYZ. But if you want your data to be displayed on OpenSea, the marketplace, in a very nice way, there's a certain format which you want to conform your data to, which is also available on our webpage, which you could just copy paste. So since I have it here, in this case, I'm trying to mint zip code, state, and city into this NFC, and I'm just gonna just use um, the format which OpenSea supports. So I'm just gonna go to this button, try it, and just click, and you'll see the minting happen in real time. So let's wait for a few seconds. Let's see how quick it comes back. Shouldn't take too long. Bam, that's your response. Um, you get a block explorer back in your response, which you could just use to just check for more details on that transaction, which I'm just going to do. You don't have to do that, but so this block explorer URL tells me what's really happening, if it's really been mined on the chain. In this case, it shows indexing. Let's give it a few seconds. Sometimes it could take a couple of more seconds to actually get mined on the chain, depending on how much traffic is on the network. So let's see. It's still indexing. Bam. As you can see, it's changed to success. So you're done. So let's check on OpenSea to see if this newly minted NFT is there. Let's go to my NFT page. Bam. You could see this is what we just minted. Demo name. And if you take a look at it in a little more detail, you'll see my data points, city, country, zip code. So what I've just shown you is a quick way to mint data onto an NFT using the Verbwire platform. And like I mentioned, you don't have to have a wallet address. You could leave the recipient address blank and you still will mint. Thank you. So what I'm going to show you now is a different way of minting. It's still using our mint functionality, but it's not the regular quick mint. This is minting using your own contract that you have created. The difference is with quick mint, when you mint with a quick mint functionality, with our quick mint functionality, you will be minting with a default Verbwire contract. But you could also just use your own contract and just mint your NFT. And I'm going to show you real quick. So if you go to our endpoint on our web page as usual, remember you could test the endpoints interactively. Um, you'll see we have three mint functions which start with the word mint. So those mint endpoints are the ones which require you to have your own contract. So I'm going to simply just select the first one, which is mint NFT from image, and let's just follow the inputs fields. So let's put in our image because we want to use an image in this case. I'm just going to use my butterfly image. Let's call this contract mint. I'm just going to put just a random name, contract mint test. Let's description. Let's just say random description. Um, don't forget, it's very similar to the quick mint functionality, but the difference here is you would use your own contract address. To create a contract is very simple. Just go to the deploy endpoint, which I have selected here, and deploy a contract. If you don't want to do that, you could just go to your dashboard, the Verbwire dashboard, and without writing any code, just a bunch of clicks, you could deploy a contract right from your dashboard. If you deploy a contract that way, you get a contract address and you use that address in here. So since I've already deployed my contract and I have my contract address, I'm just going to pull it up, which I have saved here in a notepad. Put it here. And as usual, this is your recipient address, which is the address in which you want to mint the NFT to. You can leave it blank if you don't have a wallet, but if you do have a wallet, you just put it in there, which I have, and that's where the NFT will be minted to. And again, the data here is really the data that you want minted on your NFT. You can mint anything on your NFT. It could be a ticket ID, a loyalty card ID, it could be a receipt, it could be a zip code, it could be address of a house, anything, any kind of data element that you want persisted onto the NFT, you could easily just use our endpoint. So in this case, I'm just gonna use my pre-saved data, and again, you could put anything in your data. You could put A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. You could put X, Y, Z. But if you want your data to be displayed on OpenSea in a nice way, so you could see the data on OpenSea, there's a certain format which you have to conform to, which we have on our page here. This examples, you can just use it. So I'm just going to copy paste from that. In this case, let's assume I just want to even just put like simple data point here. Let's just call it ID. I'm just gonna put a value ABC123 and just click on try it as usual, and you should see your response immediately. It's minting right now. Shouldn't take too long. Bam, you're done. As usual, you get a Block Explorer URL returned. The Block Explorer URL just lets you know what's really happening with the transaction and what state it is on chain. So right now it's still indexing. Bam, you can see it's changed to success. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to OpenSea and see if this new limited contract is viewable in OpenSea. Sometimes it takes a few seconds to actually see your NFT come up on OpenSea. Let's see. We're just going to give it a few seconds. Bam, that's my NFC I just minted right now. And remember the name was contract mint test. Let's look at my data elements. Let's see if it really saved my data. Um, let's see. Bam. Remember I put in an ID ABC123 and just some random ID which I put in from the copy pasted value. So what I've just shown you now is how to mint an NFT using your own pre-created contract, which is different from the quick mint functionality, but it's just as fast. Thank you. So what I'm going to show you next is how to burn an NFT using the Verbwire platform. It's actually very interesting. But one thing to really remember is you could only burn NFTs on our platform that were created on our platform. So it only let you burn NFTs that were created on the Verbwire platform using any of our contracts. Very important. So I'm just going to walk you through how you're going to burn an NFT. As usual, you could test this in our API documentation page, which is what I'm going to show you. Our page is super interactive. You could see sample code on the page as you hover around the different programming languages here, like I'm doing. I'm going to change to Python for this example, and you can look at the code changes. If you click on these three dots here, you'll see multiple programming languages, and you can just, as you click on each one, let's click on C Sharp, you see the sample code in C Sharp. But let's just go back to Node because that's what we had before. It doesn't really matter. I'm showing you a visual um, interaction. So we're not really going to do this in code, but really using our page just to test the endpoint. So again, you go to the API page, click on the burn endpoint, which is what I have here, and let's just fill in the fields. So you have to have a contract address to begin with because the NFT should have been one created by a contract, which obviously the contract would have an address. So I already have a contract address on my notepad. I'm just going to copy paste it just to save us time. And I know the token ID of the NFT I want to burn. In this case is ID 7. And I have it on OpenSea right here. Let's move this up a bit. That's the NFT I want to burn. And I know its token ID is 7. So and if you're not really sure, you just want to double check what's the ID of your NFT. If you have it on OpenSea, you could easily just pull it up here and you would see the ID here. It says 7. But if you don't, you could just go to the Block Explorer and look at the transaction. Or you could actually just go to your Verbwire dashboard and you would see the different NFTs you've minted there and you could get more details that way. Let's go back to the endpoint. I'm going to put token ID 7, click on try it as usual, and you should get a response in not too long. Bam, my response is back. Let's look at the Block Explorer to see um, the actual stage of this transaction on chain. And I want it to say success. It shows pending. So it's still working, but depending on how busy the network is, it could take a couple of seconds to get stuff done, or sometimes longer. But right now, let's see. Again, it's showing pending. I want it to show success, and bam, it's successful now. Um, So I'm just gonna go to OpenSea and see if this is being burned. So it still shows here, but if I refresh it, if it's really been burned, it should not show. It should just disappear. Just watch. So don't blink. If you blink, you may miss it. Just watch. Then if you see now, my butterfly NFT has disappeared. That's because it's been burned. It's been burned on the Gurley blockchain on the Gurley test network. So what I've shown you now is how you could easily just burn an NFT using the Verbwire API. Super simple, super fast. Thank you. Hey, so I'm going to show you now how to upload a file to IPFS. IPFS is the interplanetary file storage. Think of it like a Google Cloud for storing things in Web3 in a decentralized way. Generally, many NFT projects would use IPFS to store files. So again, it's kind of like, a way to upload your files to the Web3 cloud in a decentralized way. We've seen different use cases where folks just upload files to IPFS for different reasons, but I'm just going to show you how to use our platform to do this in a very simple um, way. So as usual, let's go to our API endpoint. I'm going to go to the one of the endpoints. This one is called upload a local file to IPFS. And I'm just going to follow the prompts, follow the fields, click on my select a file. This is called butterfly, just a random file. And just click and try it, this button, and let's see what happens. Bam. Almost instantaneously, you have a URL returned. That URL is the URL of the file, which has now been uploaded to IPFS. Let's take a look at it and see if it's really in there. Bam, as you can see, that's my file. It's right there in IPFS. what I just showed you now is how super fast and simple it is to upload any file to IPFS using the Verbwire platform. Thank you.
So I just wanted to highlight a couple more features of the Verbwire platform for you. First and foremost, if you don't have a Verbwire account, definitely sign up for one. You get all sorts of cool features with it. Once you do have one and you log in, you'll be faced with this nice looking dashboard here. Ton of stuff on the left that you can access. So obviously your API keys, you can see your activity or the logs for the various calls that you've made. We rolled out this cool feature that I really want to highlight for you fairly recently, which is a deploy from the dashboard smart contract. So no code, no API calls. You can come in here and literally one click deploy a smart contract to the blockchain. No code whatsoever. It takes you a couple seconds. So let's come in here under the deployments tab, click deploy contract. There's a bunch of options under here under other options, but let's just do a simple smart contract to get started. This is an ERC 721. That's what most people look at as an NFT, the non-fungible token. So let's click here. Let's do, what should we call it? Let's say test name one. Contract symbol, doesn't really matter. Test 1, 2, 3. Owner address. If you happen to have a crypto wallet set up, let's say something through MetaMask, you could put that address in here. Don't worry if you don't. We heard very early on that the process of setting up a crypto wallet could be a little intimidating. So if you don't put anything here, it'll default to the Verbwire Omnibus wallet. You can always move that contract later if you want to, but for now, let's say we can leave that blank. That'll default to us. As I mentioned earlier, we support 14 blockchains currently, and we're adding a ton more every single week. But you have 7 test nets, 7 live nets. We recommend probably starting with the testnet deployment just to test out your code, make sure everything works. In this case, Gurley is the Ethereum testnet, so let's deploy to Gurley. And so everything's set. Again, test name, test 1, 2, 3. We're going to default to the Verbwire wallet and deploy. And then we wait a couple seconds, and then that will deploy. That is now deploying. And just like that, a couple seconds later, it's done. So what you'll find here, as I said, you'll see the contract type, which is the ERC 721 token, the name that we gave it, the contract symbol. And here, this contract address, this is important, right? And a lot of API calls, particularly if you're minting, let's say, a simple contract, it'll ask for the contract address. This is what you need. If you don't um, if you click off the screen later, no problems. You can click view all contract deployments or click this deployments tab here, and you'll see all the contracts that you've deployed over time. And you can even view the mint from that particular contract. So if you want to, again, if you want to do a custom mint to one of these simple contracts that you've deployed yourself, rather than to, let's say, the quick mint, which deploys to our contract. If you want to deploy to your own contract, you can go to the dashboard, deploy a contract, and then copy that contract address and use that in the API call. And it's super easy.
So I just want to remind you, we've got lots of resources for you on our platform and on our webpage. So spend time going around and browsing around our website, and you see there's a lot of things to help you get started. So let's just take a quick look at our quick start. If you go to the quick start section, just click on developers on our webpage, our homepage, click on quick start, and you'd see here we have our quick start guide just to get you started, how to set up a wallet, how to get your API key, how to test your endpoint without you really using any code. There's a bunch of frequently asked questions. There's 3 sample projects here, which again, there's plenty of projects on the community page. There's a quick start guide. So really, spend time on the web page, go to the quick start section, you get a lot of things to get you started. Another important thing is I'm not sure if you're aware, but you don't really have to have a wallet address to use the Verbwire platform. Lots of our endpoints don't need wallet addresses, so just you can mint and not have a wallet, and in that case, it just defaults to the Verbwire wallet address. And one more thing I'm going to show you, we've got this thing called recipes. So recipes, kind of like cooking recipes, they're quick and easy ways to do things fast, and we have a lot of sample recipes to do very simple things. So if we look at this example here, get transactions by your wallet address. There's a recipe. Get owners of NFT. There's a recipe. Mint an omnichain NFT in seconds. There's a recipe. So Just play around our website, play around all the guides, lots of resources to help you get started. We also have a discussion board here. If there's anything, any question you have, maybe some things are not being addressed, please feel free to reach out. Thank you so much. So remember, it's super easy to win a prize from Verbwire at this hackathon. We're giving lots of prizes, and if you just implement the Verbwire API in your project, you have a high probability of winning something. If you need some help or some inspiration or ideas, I would advise you to go to our community page on our from our website. And I'm going to show you that right now. So if you just click on community, you see our featured projects. And the good thing is lots of these projects, for actually for every one of them, they have source code which could actually download and run and test out. Let's take a look at this quick example. It's called FastMint, a super fast way of minting an NFT. I'm going to go to the GitHub page, which I have here, FastMint. You could download the source code and just run the application, and bam, just like that, you have a minting application. You could see on the web page, it shows you the steps of how to run it. Step 1, 2, 3, 4. Just follow the steps, and you would be able to run this application, a maintenance application. There's also screenshots showing you, what to put in what field, just to show you exactly how to make this work. Let's go back to the community page. There are lots of examples, multiple use cases of how the Verbwire API has been used. Look at this other example. This one is called Whale Watcher. Now, generally, a whale is really a large holder of an asset, and this example, this person is not minting to the blockchain, is not creating smart contracts. He just wanted to do some analytics and just get data. So if you're that kind of person that you don't want to create smart contracts. You don't want to like mint NFTs. You just want to do some intelligence and analytics and data, or build a dashboard of some sort. Use our data endpoint, and this example is called Whale Watcher. It just really just pulls up large holders of NFTs. Let's look at more examples. This one is called CMP Grounds. It's really NFTs on campgrounds. So you reserve your ticket to a campground, and your reservation is minted as an NFT. Pretty interesting. Let's look at another one. This project is called Cherry 3. In this case, what's pretty cool is it's a decentralized charity, and what the developer has done is, as you donate to the charity, you could see all the donations because it's via a smart contract. You could see the donations on the blockchain. But as you donate to the charity, you get an NFT minted using the Verbwire API. Pretty interesting application there. Let's look at another one. This one is called DJ Degree. Essentially, it's a blockchain authenticated degree. So you mint a degree for a course on the blockchain using the Verbwire API. Let's look at another one. This is called Treasure Hunt. It's sort of like a game where you could mint your own NFT, and again, it uses the Verbwire API. This is another project called Health Chain. This person just really uploads patients' records using the Verbwire API. Remember, I told you if you don't want to like deploy smart contracts or mint NFTs, you can really just upload images to IPFS using our endpoints. We have multiple endpoints for just uploading images to IPFS, which is really a decentralized Web3 storage. So I would implore you to just go on our community page. Lots of sample projects, lots of projects that were done by different teams that have used our API, and they all have source code there, and a lot of them have videos. So you could actually watch the demo of the applications just to really see how things work. So lots of examples. Go ahead and feel comfortable. Thank you.